All right. So number 6 is collective bargaining. Okay, let's break that down. Collective means that you're putting things together, and bargaining means you're trying to get a better position. So unions use this all the time, okay? Employees negotiate as a group to increase their power. One employee by themselves does not have that much power. So for instance, let's say that I walked into Mr. Bellard's office and I say, Mr. Bellard, I want a raise or I'm going home. And he's probably just going to look at me and say, bye, okay? But however, if everybody on campus and everybody in the state, however, would go on strike or something like that to get a raise, well, then maybe the school board would probably listen. That's collective bargaining, okay? The more people you have, the more power you have. One individual alone is usually not enough to get it done, okay? Arbitration is another thing that it is directly related to labor unions. We're going to be talking a lot about labor unions in this chapter, okay? So, arbitration is settling a disagreement by accepting in advance the decision of a neutral third party. You've probably done this before, okay? You ever had an argument between you and a friend, and neither one of y'all would admit the other one was right, okay? So you bring a third friend in, right? Say, hey, who's right here? Well, that's arbitration, okay? Hopefully you'll get somebody who's neutral and that is not just going to take one side or the other. Well, in labor unions, okay, whenever the labor union would go on strike and the boss wouldn't want to give them anything, the whole company shut down and everybody's losing. So sometimes what they would do is they would hire an arbiter, okay? And that person would hear both sides of the case, and both parties, the labor union and the boss, would have to sign an agreement before arbitration that says whatever the arbiter says goes, okay? So if they say they get a pay raise, they get a pay raise. If they say they don't, then everybody goes back to work. Well, the problem with this is who hires the arbiter? The boss does, okay? And if you want to get rehired as an arbiter, you better do what the boss says. So a lot of times, the arbitration was really lopsided in the favor of the robber barons, okay? All right, so whenever workers go on strike, all right, we have scabs that come in. Scabs are individuals hired to break a strike. So, all right, everybody goes on strike, nobody's working, right? Well, the boss is gonna hire replacement workers while you're on strike. Those people are called scabs. Now, usually, a lot of scabs were black people and immigrants. And the reason why is because the unions at the time were pretty racist, and they didn't want to allow certain immigrants or black people to join the union. So if you don't allow an entire group of people to join your union, then whenever a strike does happen and all the white guys go on strike, those people that have been waiting for a job simply go right in and take the job. Now, while black people worked as scabs, they did a great job, because if they could do a great job while the strike is going on, then maybe the boss would just keep them hired on after the strike is over. All right, close shop, another union thing. It's a union demand that would require all the workers in a factory to be union members. So the union says, okay, so we can get a higher level of collective bargaining, we are going to force the boss to make sure that everybody in the shop, everybody in the factory is a union worker. And that increases our numbers and therefore increases our power through collective bargaining. The last definition for this video is injunction, okay? It is a court order that stops an activity. It can be any activity, okay? It doesn't have to pertain to strikes or anything like that. But back then, they were used to stop strikes. So a judge would literally say, go back to work or you're going to prison. That's an injunction, okay?